Okie doke. The Power of Systems Book Club Call 10. That's two-thirds of the way through now. So we've got a third of the way to go, 5 weeks after this call. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to kick the call off, um, getting into the final two chapters of sort of this part one of the book. Um, and then I wanted to open up a space for anyone that didn't have a chance to share um, their sort of systems project, which we did at the end of the last call. I think that everyone that was in here was on last week's call. Did anyone miss that? Sophie, you missed last week's call. Awesome. Okay. I know Lyndon didn't get a chance to share. He's not here. That's okay. So we'll leave a space for you to share, Sophie. And then I want to do a check-in with where people are at with their systems project and how that's going and what's being created. But yeah, first off, let's get into the chapters, which I personally found really nice, particularly the I don't know how to say her surname, Maria Popova quote. Um, I absolutely loved it, and it really really spoke to where I'm at. And I'll share a bit later on, Sophie, when you share your systems project. Like it feels completely relevant to where I'm at and what I'm up to, which is at the beginning of a big restructuring and a refocusing of what I'm up to and what I want to create. Um, I'm effectively shuffling everything around. It feels like everything around in my life to open up as much space as possible for my metal band, which going into next year is going to be priority number one. Um, and this quote, particularly, they ask us to break the pattern of our lives. Speaking about beginnings, they ask us to break the pattern of our lives and reconfigure it afresh. Something that can only be done with great courage and great tenderness, for no territory of life exposes both our power and our vulnerability more brightly than a beginning, which is which feels completely appropriate for the last few months, deciding to move into a house share, cut overheads, cut stop certain projects that I was running, all to support the beginning of something, this new musical project. And it has indeed exposed all of these vulnerabilities and just a general sense of feeling immensely exposed and out on a limb and vulnerable. One of the things that I noticed with this particular beginning was how loud the voice of my ego has been, and how strong the pull back into the familiar, familiar ways of doing things, familiar ways of thinking, familiar ways of earning money, familiar relationship to music, etc. And as I've removed, cut out projects and therefore cut revenue, or I've moved out of a flat I felt very comfortable in to all of a sudden living with eight other people on the outskirts of Brighton, my ego has not liked a considerable amount of this and has shouted and bitten back. And so that sense of vulnerability I've really, really felt. And at the same time, it says that, this territory of life exposes both power and vulnerability. I've also seen a relentless determination arise. Like this chapter talks a lot about stagnation, and I'd certainly reached a point in music. It's like, yeah, function, yeah, teaching student, cool. This is comfortable. This is familiar. This is this is stagnant. This is now like the the systems I was using, the sort of rinse and repeat, and just continuing that without tearing it up and doing something different. there was a sense of stagnation. And so there's this yin and yang thing, this sort of crushing sense of loss or vulnerability. Um, but then on the flip side, this hunger and determination and excitement. Um, and when I decided to move, it was like just blinkers on. It was like I'm not going to stop until I get it sorted, and it was sorted within a few weeks. That's like cool. I need some systems around this band and my writing. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting put to the bottom of the to-do list. Right. Experiment, put some things together, and I'm experimenting with that. It's like, okay, cool. I never practiced guitar. I just prep sets, but now I want to do a metal band. It's like, this is going to push me technically. Hire a guitar teacher, put a practice routine together. So yeah, I've also seen kind of I don't want to put it in terms of the best of me and the worst of me, but for want of a better phrase, the parts of experiencing myself that are terrified and scared and feeling vulnerable, and the parts of me that are like, I'm not going to stop. I've got to figure out the process and keep putting things together. So that I was really moved by that quote, and it really felt um, appropriate. And I actually wanted to share at the top of this call because I usually go straight into a who wants to start. And I realize as well, actually, that bringing myself into these group spaces actually probably is going to be very useful and serve, the group. So I wanted to really make a point of that as well. Um, and then in terms of the chapter before that, which was Steve's Why Are Systems So Powerful? Um, what's he talk? I kind of took away from it. There's that brilliant quote from Atomic Habits: "You do not rise to the level of your goals; you fall to the level of your systems." And so I saw this whole chapter as talking about what are you immersing yourself in the most day to day? Is it big picture or is it breaking it down? Is it um, focus on the outcome or is it focus on the process? And I had a cool example, so I'm just going to let Philip in. Um, I had a cool sort of real world example of this. I went to Concord, which is a super cool, probably 600 cap venue in Brighton, to watch a band from Hastings, Kid Capici, that they've done so well over the last 10 years. And they are a band that are in a position that I absolutely dream of being with my band. And I loved the gig and I enjoyed it. And at the same time, the thought kept being offered from me like this. It all it looks so far away. I'm right at the beginning of finally going, I'm going to take myself seriously as an artist and give myself the space I need to create this thing and stop imitating what I really want from music and do the thing and go for it. And I'm at the beginning of it, and here I am in a crowd of 600 at a sold out gig, screaming at this band. I'm like, it looks so fucking far away. It feels so far away. How is that gonna happen? Which isn't a million miles away from the next thought, which is like, it's not gonna happen for you. But pull back to the familiar, go back where it's safe. And that's like staring at the big picture in all of its glory. That bit that Steve Chandler's talking about. In fact, goals often scared me and depressed me. I'd walk into my office and see my big number on the whiteboard and freak out. Sometimes just the sight of my dreamy, audacious goal written large up there on the wall caused me to turn around and walk right back out of my office. And I didn't walk out of the gig, but I did leave the gig with my head torn between like, that was incredible and I'm so inspired, and is this really going to happen, or are you even going to get close to it, or it's too late for you? Don't don't bother, basically. Um, and so this chapter really, it was like a mirror up to me. It's like, okay, well, what goals are cool for direction, but what are you preoccupying yourself with day in and day out? Are you looking at the big picture and the goal every day and torturing yourself, or are you immersing in the process? In other words, the systems. It's like, right, that's the goal, that's what I want, and more. There's a direction, but my day to day has it's got to be in the process. It's got to be in the systems, falling into those, not rising up to the dreams. So then it's a really cool situation of like, well, okay, if I'm right at the beginning and then there's this thing, well, what systems give it the best chance? What needs to happen right now? What's the highest leverage thing? What's top priority? It's like, cool. Well, I need a singer to complete the band. It's like, cool. Well, until you have one, every day do that. Like, ring up the music colleges, text everyone you know, get the word out that you're looking for a singer, like, and just don't stop until that piece of the puzzle's done. It's like, okay, now there's a full band. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Um, so yeah, I loved these two chapters, and a lot, yeah, a lot came up for me with those. Um, and I think there was one last thing. Bear with me a moment. Right. I summarized this particular part with the sentence, you always have the opportunity to create from zero. And it's this part where I think it's Trevor's chapter. Um, the power of systems comes from seeing that we can always begin now, at this moment. This moment isn't the middle. It isn't what connects the past and the future. Like I thought that was huge. It isn't what connects the past and the future. It is what creates the past and the future. Now is the beginning. And it's interesting because those thoughts, it's too late for you. You needed to have done this when you first moved to Brighton. You should have spent your early 20s doing the band thing, and this would be the age you go, oh, okay, it didn't work. I'm going to do, these things that I know earn money, etc., etc. And then and therefore creating myself is in the middle of like your early 20s, your late 20s and your 30s. That's the past. There's the present. There's the future. And the present is the wrong time for all of it. And it's like, well, what the fuck can I do with that? um, so that sentence, it isn't what connects the past and the future. It is what creates the past and the future. I thought it's like, right. Um, there's always the opportunity to create from zero. No, 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 not creating from our story of the past or creating from any story or fear of the future. It's like every day you can have a clean slate and create here and now. Um, how? Not sure, but completely willing to experiment and play with that and to embody that creating from zero at any time and being free to do that. Um, which is who I think part of who I think I need. I'm going to need to be to create the things I want to create. Um, I think that's everything I wanted to share for now. So thank you very much. We will move on. Sophie.
Hi. I just, yeah, sorry. Found a lot of what you said really resonated with how I've been feeling about these chapters, specifically the why a system's so powerful chapter. I think the thing, just the line like progress, not perfection, really stood out to me. And the other quote, like goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. And I think it kind of made me realize that actually I do have like an intense fear of goals. And what I'm learning about myself is that systems bring somewhat of a peace, an inner peace. and focusing on that power of now and almost like those micro actions. Literally, all you can do is exactly what you're doing right now, this tiny little thing, and like knowing that that progress will get you to that goal without because the thought of the goal is just so overwhelming and all encompassing that that ends up actually stopping you from doing what you need to do in the now. Um, and I think that's actually a really important thing for me to acknowledge at this particular time in my life, because life has been like just to overshare with the class, uh, incredibly turbulent for me the last couple of months with like my injury and then going through a breakup of my partner of 2 years. I've been all over the place. And it's been a really hard time to kind of stay grounded and stay kind of consistent with like the daily goals and the things that you want to do and all this. I don't know. It's just, it feels like my whole life has been kind of upended. But to actually kind of be able to ground and root myself in just like knowing that I'm doing these little systems and changing little things and kind of working on the day to day, and then seeing that actually I am still going and I'm still making progress in things, even though the goals haven't been at the center of my attention. Actually, in a weird way, that's better that the goal hasn't been my focus because yeah, it's that is kind of an over I don't know, I'm struggling to, I just feel like a past me would have beaten myself up for like not getting things done exactly how I want to get it done, and not to not be like focused, or to to kind of stray away from the path for a little bit. But like it's understandable given everything I've just been going through. But that actually, even still through that, like the system that I've started doing, for example, with like my Google Keep, I went through and gave it a complete overhaul so that instead of it just being like a list of things that I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get this done, this is stressful and that's stressful, breaking it down to like inbox. So whenever I think of something, just throw it in there. And then like once every other day, kind of saying, okay, well, let's move that into like 3 daily wins. So those are the things I'm going to do today, and literally just three. And if I finish those three and I'm feeling motivated, add a couple more. Why not? But at least it means I know that I've only got three, and it'll literally be things like call work for this one thing, or send this one email, or like do the pots, like just simple little things. So it just is like that little dopamine hit. And then the other two like things are like do soon and do later. So that whenever I'm like, oh shit, what was it? What do I need to be doing? I feel like the stuff I need to be doing when I wake up on a day, I can move things from do soon into 3 daily wins. And if none of it feels urgent enough, or it's not giving me the dopamine I need, I go through do later. Is there anything I can add that can make me feel better, like today, making me feel productive today? And just a very slight recategorization of the tasks has made it go from like being overwhelming, feeling like I'm never getting anything done, to making me realize that I've not been any more productive than I was before, but I notice what I'm doing and notice how much I'm actually getting done, and that's actually really valuable to me, because like how it says like about like motivation doesn't come first, like action comes first and then motivation. Like seeing the actions that I'm already doing then gives me the motivation of like, oh, okay, I can actually do this, and I have been. I've just not been recognizing that I have been, because yeah, yeah, anyway. And I think that like, I don't know, now I'm trying to work out how I get from like how I can kind of get, I don't know, whether I need to get over a fear of the goals or not, or whether I can just focus on that. So like, for example, I'm in like this crossroads in my life where I've kind of realized like I'm kind of applying for a bunch of new jobs. I don't know whether, I was going to move in with my partner and we were going to get a dog and all this sort of stuff. Now that's gone. So it's like, okay, I'm in my late 20s. I'm applying for big bitch jobs. Do I even want these? Or do I want to just go traveling the world? Or do I want this dog that I said I was going to get still? And that means I need to find out. And so I'm trying to work out which direction I'm going in. And all of it seems scary. And all of it seems like a lot of work and a lot of big goals. But I'm kind of trying to work out whether it's the right answer to just say it'll happen, whatever happens, happens, and just let things come to me, or whether that will be, whether not setting an intention means that I will just float and nothing will ever happen.
Hmm.
I'm trying to work out like how much can you just kind of stay in the now, in the micro transactions, in the micro actions of your day to day, and how much is that kind of avoiding having a sense of purpose and a sense of direction?
Mm, mm, mm. Can I share a couple of things that came up while you were sharing?
For sure, yeah.
Awesome. Um, the first bit, like I really want to draw out for the group, um, and for myself, the power of receiving and acknowledging ourselves. It's absolutely huge, and it sounds to me like you've really tapped into how powerful that can be. To actually notice and acknowledge and receive, like, no, 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 I'm doing these things. Like, I think that's what keeps a lot of people at work. I think that's what pushes people to work later, push them to work longer hours, push them to say yes more, take on more, is an innocent not noticing of what is already being created. And so they think like, well, it's not enough. It's not enough. I've got to do more. I've got to be more. I've got to show up more. I've got to take on more. And very often it's not about more. It's about noticing what you are doing and checking, is this aligned? Is this not aligned? What have I already got going on? And is it useful? If the answer's like yes to a whole bunch of things, like wicked, crack on. Anything that's like this isn't aligned, it's like, okay, well, there's a decision to be made over that, and that could potentially free up time. So it becomes this kind of subtractive process but we can only really access that, I think, when we notice and we receive. So love that. Fun little system game, whatever you want to call it or view it, that I've played with, and I'll share this for the group around receiving and acknowledging. And both of these I found really, really um, useful. In fact, is it both or no? It's just one exercise, I think. I've just called it different things. Um, at the end of the day, sitting down for a few minutes and writing out some self-acknowledgements and caving out some time to sit and really receive like what has happened in the day, what has been created, what is going on. And it can be amazing to see what is going by completely unnoticed that we're doing.
I think even not even writing it down, because I feel like that in itself sounds like a task. And yeah, any more tasks than I have to do is overwhelming. But I do find myself like this morning, perfect example. I had to, even though I knew I had an idea of stuff I needed to do that day, I had to kind of verbalize like, right, today I'm going to make myself some eggs, and then I'm going to sit down, and then I'm going to read the systems chapters, and then I'm going to do the pots, and then I'm going to get changed, and I'm going to run to the garage, and I'm going to pick up my car, and then I'm going to come back, I'll make dinner. And I had to talk through like my entire day step by step. Obviously things can change in that, but just to it's like a breaking down. I had to verbalize it and say it aloud to the room. And then I've also find like less formally, sometimes when I'm feeling like I've done nothing in a certain day, or I'm feeling really demotivated, or feeling like, oh God, I'm just never get anything done. I'm not productive at all. Sometimes I will sit and just speak aloud to the room, to nobody, and go, so today, what have you done today? Oh, well, you did clean the bathroom to be, oh, sorry, that's my food alarm. I did clean the bathroom, to be fair. And then, you also sent all of those emails. Oh, you did also read all, and then suddenly you start realizing how much you've listed off. And it just kind of makes you feel a bit better when you're in those moments of, I can't get anything fucking done. So it's like, basically, I'm just agreeing with you, but just saying I can't be bothered to write it down.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Brilliant. Um, yeah, there's two more things that jumped out to me. Um, getting over the fear, and I'll share what looks true to me and what looks true as a result of experience and working with it. And I'll throw it out to the group, and if anyone wants to share on this, I'd love to hear as well. Um, I don't know if we ever do because because it's so deeply human. Um, and beyond human. It's a deeply anything that's alive has that sort of almost a system of fear built in. There's an evolutionary kind of need for this thing, and so just like doing deep ego work and learning to kind of observe the ego and see it for what it is. We're never able to cut it out. We only get better at noticing and living with it. And so with the fear thing, I think it can. I don't know if any of you, I'm sure we've all had this experience. We can be having a day and we can be plugging away at the thing and it's all cool. And what looks like out of nowhere, a fear washes over us and it can hit us in a moment and it can be like, oh, I was happily plugged into my system working on the thing and all of a sudden that it's not going to happen. And it's like, oh, I'm scared. Like it can kind of happen like that. Now, I think if we view fear as something to get over, in that moment when we experience it, we can potentially create that experience as a regression or like a bad experience or oh that's not good, that's back, like that thing's there again, through the lens of sort of do I get over the fear, as opposed to fear is a thought. We have a thought and then all of a sudden we're feeling a certain way, and that's natural and that's okay, and thoughts happen and they come to us. They're neutral. They're a true thought, not necessarily a true fact. The experience of it can be unpleasant, like experiencing fear and being scared, like it's not always pleasant. Fine. But just that one distinction of like, this isn't something I need to get over. This is something that I'm free to experience, as well as all the other types of emotional feeling experiences that we can have. It's just another one of the things that's available in my emotional range. And through that lens, it's no longer like a bad thing or something to get over. It's neutral and a natural part of a healthy human. And at the same time, you know, we can learn to be with something that feels uncomfortable. And that final thing, like um, the really turbulent last couple of months, a lot of things being thrown in the air, a lot of plans and things that at one point were going to be, you know, that has changed. Um, and then making decisions. Like I think that Trevor, there's something that Trevor wrote that I think might speak to this a bit. Um, when I was beginning to write this chapter, I almost didn't use my system. This chapter was meant to be a summary, and so initially it occurred that I would have to think about it or figure out what to write, as opposed to what he writes earlier. Um, each day when I sat down to write, I didn't start with me. I didn't look into my head, mind, or thoughts for the words or for inspiration. I looked into the system. I looked for something that was moving and inspiring. I attuned to the world around me and noticed what resonated. When I found a seed of inspiration, I began writing, and the writing would flow from the inspiration, from the system, not my mind. And so when you were talking about the decisions you have in front of you, and everyone in the group it will be having their own experience of this as well. Like everyone here today is going to be having their own crossroads and their own experiences. Um, and I think that the 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 decision to take is the one that creates alignment. And I think that alignment is revealed. I don't think that alignment is necessarily found um, by thinking it through or by being logical. I think that it's tuned into. I think it's tapped into. And again, I think that we are able to access that best from that slowed down highly present space. The power of now is talking a lot about this as well. That noticing, particularly noticing the difference between the knower and the thinker. That part of us that really, really knows instinctively what is right for us or what the best path to take is or the best decision to make, as opposed to what the thinker, the intellect might think is the best choice, the thing that's logical or the sensible thing to do. Or so I wanted to share that final bit as well. I'd love to know, Sophie, how that sits with you, if you'd like to share.
I don't think, yeah, honestly, I think I'm just a bit confused. Um, I think I don't know. I have this tendency. I don't know if it's like a trauma response thing, but when something becomes like too kind of personal to like because it's such an intense like fear and like worry that like my I do like I brain blank. So I remember a couple minutes ago finding what you were saying very kind of like inspiring and like hitting something, but like it clearly hit something that then made me think about those fears and those kind of like future fears enough that I got head empty. I've got no idea what we're talking about. I think that's really interesting to notice in myself that it's that severe.
Mm.
I think that's something clearly that I need to work on, but like not in like I think something about like what you said about being able to feel like having it as one of those things of like accepting that you can feel all of the as part of your what's the phrase you used like part of your range of emotions or something.
Part of a healthy human's range of emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it almost makes it less scary because it's kind of just acknowledging like this is just another emotion, this is just another thing. It's not, it takes away its power a little bit, I think. I think again it comes from like a fear of whatever I decide I probably won't do. And then I'll feel shame. Like I tried to go to but then it's like oh, it's kind of sorry, my brain's really fried at the moment. It's kind of like all of these decisions are all things that I want to do, but it's like, what order do I do them in? And they're all very big life decisions, and they all require a lot of planning and dedication. And it's the fear of indecision, it's the fear of not following through more than it is I guess it's the related fears around whatever choice is made. And so it's not as I know that it's not as easy as just letting it come to me because like, I can't just let traveling to the other side of the world or working for like MSF or Red Cross just come to me. I have to do something to do that, you know? And I have this habit of telling everybody in my life like, oh, this is because I'm a bit of an open book and I'll just yap. I love yapping. So I'll just tell everyone like, oh, this is my plan now. And then when I don't do that plan, or I almost feel like I jinx it by telling everybody what I'm going to do. But then I don't know. I think I'm just still speaking to the fear as opposed to actually acknowledging what you've said. It's really hard to. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just going to shut up.
Mm. No, thank you for your honesty and the way you show up. Like you do show up very openly, and that serves the group. And I've seen it from day dot how much it serves the group and serves the conversation. Um, and you are making perfect sense with that. And I do hear you with that sharing plans and goals with others. I have a tendency, I've noticed as well, to share, and I quite like the dopamine hit that I get from it. But quite often after okay, well, I've got to do something about this thing. So thank you for sharing. Is there any more you want to share for now?
I don't think that I have the emotional capacity to continue sharing, if that makes sense. I think I'm emotionally erratic at the moment, and talking about the deep stuff is a lot, but I've done my best, kids, so thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Karen.
Sorry. I hate doing it on the phone. I can never find the buttons. Yeah, I love what you said, Sophie. I don't love the pain you're in, obviously, but I do know what you are going through in a way because been there, and will be there again. Definitely. That's the way it goes. Um, it reminded me of that meme that was going along about the ladder, the giant ladder that's going up to the big audacious goal and the big steps that you can barely reach, and then the ladder with the tiny, tiny little steps, which make it easier to go up. And I needed to be reminded of that because um, I'm one of those that gets overwhelmed by something that's too big. And um, and what I really, really liked in this, well, there was a few things that struck me in these chapters. In fact, these were my favorite ones that we've had so far. Um, was the joy in the present and how whenever we go into the future, it's rarely positive. I mean, it can be like, yay, I'm going to a gig, woo, or yay, I'm going on holiday. But mainly it's, ooh, well, at least for me anyway, there's some negatives there. There's some what ifs. And and also, the overwhelm. I mean, I suffer with overwhelm because of being a bit ADHD. ADHD as fuck, I think Jane called me. But anyway, um, it's the overwhelm isn't in the present. The present is fine. And I just have to keep pulling myself back to the present because only now can I do anything with my hands. I can't scratch my nose in the future. And so that, you get that tension, don't you, of like, I can't do anything about it.
Mm.
And I've noticed that I've been doing this more, but naturally without agonizing over what's my system. I think it's just coming through without me planning it to just plod away at stuff. I know roughly what I need to do. I'm not putting the big, hairy, audacious goals on it because that just makes me. I mean, I don't want to label myself, but like there is a bit of a rebel in me. And like if I say I've got to do that, then a bit of me will say, fuck off. And it will stop me doing it because, like I don't like being told what to do, even by myself. So I like the idea of just doing stuff every day. I've written down the 3 daily wins: do sooner, do later. I'm going to do a bit more of that and just do the things and be very happy with the things that I'm doing because I've actually got more done in the last few months than I've done for ages. And and that has been by shelving deadlines and all the corporate shit, the talk about it, all the buzzwords and just doing it. And when I think about doing it, it's always bloody hard and it's miserable and I don't want to do it. And so I'll be looking for little ways, little excuses not to do things. And yet when I'm actually doing things, like nothing's that bad. I mean, not even cleaning the loo is that bad, really. It's not that bad. Like it's just like, oh no, oh look, that's done. Yay. So there's very few things that are unbearable. And so I just love the idea of the joy being in the now and then having no pressure. And one of my systems is literally to just do some small things, just keep doing small things. And and it is working. And and also I didn't do some small things because I spent Sunday in Brighton and I came back and because I didn't do some small things, my husband did them first time forever. That was excellent. So yeah. Oh no, that's just irrelevant. But yeah, so I really like and also the other thing I really liked is the Alan Watt. I love Alan Watts. Um, he's like you're free to be different to who you were 5 minutes ago. I seem to need to. I might have to stick that on a mirror or something because my default, and I think everyone's probably the same, is to go back to that old story about what's possible. Bit like you were saying at the beginning, Will. And like, no, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't written that that is how the future needs to be. And the power is in the right now. Like right now, I've got the power to do whatever I want. I can go in whatever direction I want. And I always think that, like as long as you're going in a direction, you can be guided back onto track. But if you're not taking any movement, if there's no movement at all, then you can't be guided. That's what I think.
Mm.
So I'm not worried about what gear I'm in. I'm quite happy to be in like first gear, but to be moving.
Mm.
And that is not like me because I am the million miles an hour girl. So it's quite nice to take that pressure off me, off myself. But yeah, and the joy, just the joy and the happiness that's in the present. And like how we're sacrificing our current happiness for this future goal that might not happen. And like obviously I've been through the band thing. And when I decided to stop playing, well, it felt great to stop, to be honest. Like, well, I'd missed it for a bit, but then it felt all right. And I don't care that my original goal wasn't met because I changed and I didn't want it to be met anymore. So that was fine. And oh my gosh, the fun I had doing the thing without reaching the goal, which I then decided I didn't actually want anyway.
Mm.
But the joy was in the doing it. And that is all I have to say on that. Forrest Gump.
Mm. Yeah, I love that, and there's a couple of bits. Well, I'll draw a couple of bits out. Something you said made me remember a Yoda quote from The Empire Strikes Back, I want to say. He's teaching Luke, and I love Star Wars, and I see so many parallels between what we talk about and the Force and what the Jedi are all going on about, which is effectively be present is the ultimate message. Like you can only access the absolute best of yourself here and now. Um, and yeah, Yoda's training Luke, and Luke's young and getting aggy and rowdy and incredibly impatient, etc. I think he starts worrying. He starts having some visions or some senses that his friends are in trouble, and Yoda says, "I'm not going to say it how he would say it, but the future is always emotion." Like the emotional state that you are in is going to paint the image of that thing. If you're in a really good mood and you're excited, well, it's far easier to be present, but it's going to look like a great future. The thing's going to happen, whatever it is, etc., etc. You're depressed and sad, so well, it's going to be a terrible future. You'll end up all alone, and everyone will hate you, and whatever. Um, so I love that. I can't remember what you said that made me think of that, but that came up. Um, And I've also just written down a question to ask myself based on what you've shared there. Like, how am I giving my present away? Day in and day out, in all those moments, how much of my present am I giving away? How am I giving it away? To what thoughts about the past or thoughts about the future am I sacrificing the only place where I can do anything about any of it? And that sounds obvious, but something has really landed for me in this call about what's going on there. And I don't know how ludicrous it is that that there's one place where we can do anything about it, and we give so much of that away to thinking and worrying. And the thought is always worse than the thing itself. Um, and the final thing, I suppose, again, what came up when you were sharing there, it's like I had so much fun doing the thing whilst I was doing the thing, and the goal changed. Like what I was hearing in that is what's been echoed in this book. Like um, holding our own joy and happiness hostage until we reach the goal, whatever that is. And then this kind of illusion of like, oh, it'll all be great once I'm there, as opposed to, I don't know, the process of making a backing track for a metal band is really, really fucking fun. Um, so why would I be sat there thinking, you know, I hope we get to play this on some really big stages and all this when like it's just fun in the moment. So you've given me so much to think about there, Karen. Thank you. Is there any more you want to share for now?
No, thank you though.
Thank you. Awesome. Izzy.
Yes, I'd like to bounce on what you just said, Will, um, about like thinking like when you're gonna be on stage in front of many people. Like I saw a video yesterday or today on Instagram. I spend some time on Instagram, but it was an artist in electronic music saying, okay, when you do your track, no, it was in an interview. And when you produce your track and you have it ready and you're like, wow, this sounds so good, so good. Just like get totally into this moment and don't think about, okay, is it going to be released? Is it going to be a hit? Do people are going to like it? You just get this thing of being with that satisfaction that you're like, wow, I think my track is like really dope.
Mhm.
And that goes back to being living the now.
Mhm.
And what makes us something I had read that say, yes, we're anxious about the future or we're depressed about the past, but in the present moment, everything is perfect.
Mhm.
So yes, that's what comes to my mind. And then regarding systems, this weekend I wanted to clean my flat, and I had this system that I used, which was to list everything, all the tasks I had to do, and be like, okay, and then do one thing and cross it out and cross it out, and just instead of being like, I have this huge thing of cleaning the flat, it was like these little tasks and just making it a game.
Right, right. Awesome.
And then another thing also is to ask for help also when we have a task that's like a bit like annoying, or like for example, I wanted to clear my wardrobe, and I invited a friend over, and I'm like, okay, can you come over, and we go through my clothes together, and that made it more fun, and I had company and we could talk about things and catch up, and so yes, to sometimes what we have to do, we can also team up with someone else, and so that makes things easier.
Hmm. I love everything you've just shared there. The games bit, um, that really reminds me. There's a Steve Chandler book I'm reading, Fearless. And I can't remember how he gets onto the subject of making games in this one particular chapter and how it relates to fear. I'm not sure, but um, he he had his inbox had 280 emails in there one day. So this enormous influx of emails, and some were personal, some were professional, etc., etc. He's looking at this thing. He's like, but basically, fuck this. Like, where do I even begin with this? Um, what was it that he did? I can't. I get the numbers confused. I think that's it. He drew 28 little boxes, and each set of 10 emails that he got through, he put an X in it. And basically, the boxes covered this entire side of a piece of paper. And the game was just the classic, like, it's really satisfying to complete this thing game. And he just, every 10 emails, like, I want to fill the page. And all of a sudden, it's like a kid that's playing. He's created a game out of this thing, and he's really good at doing that. He gives quite a lot of examples. Um, So any system that gamifies something, I think, is just brilliant. Like, how can you create some kind of thing that makes it a lot more playful, and that's available to us to create at any point with anything. Even stuff that's really important. So just because it's important, um, we don't have to be serious in the way that we go about the thing. We can, in fact, it's often really the more playful we are in the process of whatever important thing we need to do. Um, and then the system of asking for help. Like I'm playing with this now as again through observation, someone with a bit of that lone wolf, like, no, I don't need help, don't need any of that. I'm fine, thank you. Um, oh, it's one of the best things. All the way from like sometimes it's just really fun to do something with a mate. It's like my wardrobe there. Like I probably agonizingly could have, after building it, like got it up and into position on my own. But it would have been awful. My mate's around the corner, and it's like I haven't seen her in a while. Do you want to come do this thing? And it was just fun, um, and easier on my back. All the way to like, it's a fantastic way of developing relationships with people. People really love being useful. And so most people are really happy to receive a message asking for help. They're like, yeah, oh, that'd be nice. Whether it's at the beginning of kind of a relationship with someone, most people tend to read that as like, you trust me. And that's really nice for me that you trust me. Yeah, yeah, I want to help. All the way through to just people that we know better. But again, it's nice to kind of have that sense of like, oh, this person I can help them in some way. So it's nice to receive. The other thing there with asking for help, the system of getting some experts in your life, and obviously there's a cost incurred with that, but a little bit of self-investment in the right areas, whether it's a personal trainer or a nutritionist, or I don't know, you want to learn a martial art, you join a gym and you have an instructor, you want to get better at an instrument, hire a teacher, like getting help from the right experts in your life in the right areas can completely collapse time. And as a system in and of itself, like someone that knows the things you don't know, enormous. So yeah, that all came up when you shared that. So thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any more?
And I also liked the Alan Watts quote because I'm a big fan of Alan Watts.
Which one was it again?
That you are allowed to be a completely different person than who you were 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Is that the first time you've heard that quote?
No.
No. What do you take away, purely out of curiosity? Like, what do you take away from that quote?
Like to extrapolate, it's that we tend to have fear of doing thing or creating thing or like inventing ourselves because of past beliefs, and we can choose to overcome and change those beliefs. It's not always easy, and there are ways to get there faster, but we can completely reinvent ourselves, and that's something we can forget, but we can be completely another person anytime we want, if we wish. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Again, that free to create from zero in any given moment. That like, right, there's the past doesn't have to inform this. It doesn't have to be rooted in this place. So like that creating yourself in the present doesn't have to have your past involved in it.
Yes, like for example, like I had my burnout, and when that happened, I had like a mental health crisis, and I got like a diagnosis, and there was like a certain narrative, and I could have just like stayed with that, and uh, and part of me said, no, I'm not accepting this, what's what's coming up, and I can be whoever I want to be, and not no one decides for me.
Love that. Thank you.
Hmm.
What's the time? Okay, awesome. Well, before we move on from the chapters bit, Sam, Philip, was there anything that you guys wanted to share on the chapter before we move on? Sam.
It's not, it's hello everyone. It's not so much on the chapter itself as just this week sort of had I don't know, like a revelation, I guess, like on the systems thing. So I think so many things that I've been trying to do. And there was one line, I haven't got the book on me, but that's a separate thing anyway. But there's been so many things that I've been um trying not to do. So it was like, as an example, like, oh, like don't worry about X, or like I want to like, and so like, what system do I have for like not worrying about something? And it's been frustrating because to tell yourself to not worry or to not think about something is like if I tell you to like not think about elephants, you're going to think about an elephant. So then, and I don't know if it came from the chapters or if it's a previous chapter or like, I don't know where it sort of came from, but I had this like revelation this week that seems to, that I'm going to play with, like it's not immediate, but it sort of relates back to being in the present and present me not wanting to worry about X, Y, and Z. So then, because I can't just stop myself from worrying about those things, I've now scheduled time to worry about it. So that has now become the system that I'm playing with. And the hilarious thing is that I haven't actually got a specific time that I worry about certain things. But in the now, the system is, oh, I'm worrying about Y, but now isn't time for worrying about Y. So therefore, it just gets like pushed down the line. It's not that it's not going to be worried about, but I'm finding it at the moment a really effective system of uh, trying to do things that I don't want to be doing. So
Hmm.
it's almost like helping me practice. So it feels like a really like backwards way of coming forward of like there's things I don't want to be doing. So then I'm telling myself to do them like at a later date rather than just trying to not do them at all.
Mm.
So yeah, it doesn't directly relate to the chapters from this week, but that's what sort of like come up for me personally off the back of, I guess, just systems in general, I suppose.
I I love that, and well, it sounds to me like you've got a really great system of noticing, like no noticing in real time the thoughts that are coming up, acknowledging them, and going like, oh, okay, right, there's a worry, there's something or other, um, not useful right now, and therefore, like the act of noticing and releasing is returning you to the present. It sounds like you've got a
Mm.
great system for grounding yourself in the present.
Yeah, and I think it's because a lot of people have talked about like, we talk about thoughts as the weather and it can change and like letting go of thoughts. And like I know someone used like the metaphor as like a balloon and like sort of like a thought is just a balloon, you sort of like let go of it. Whereas n none of the like I've been noticing the thought and then trying to let go of it. But then I'm like, well, I can't like I was like, that's and so then that's where in the current system I sort of like uh failing, if you like. But then, yeah, I found that sort of allowing time for it in the future, and also like, the future, nobody knows what that is going to be anyway. So if I just like push it further down the line and like schedule it in my brain as like, oh no, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'll
Mm.
think about it, like almost allowing the thought of me to think about it at another time
Mm.
makes the thought go really quickly for me.
Right, right. Amazing. Gotcha. Okay. It sounds, yeah, that there's something that we've talked about, something that comes up in these groups. It's something that's come up in the book. It sounds to me like yeah, you're creating a way that makes sense and works for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you. Is there any more you want to share?
No, it's just that has been quite a big personal sort of like thing this week. So I just thought, as I hadn't shared anything yet, I just wanted to share that with the group.
Awesome. Thank you. Philip, is there anything that you'd like to share on the chapters before we move on?
I don't feel. Well, first of all, hi. Um, I don't feel like I have much to add. I think maybe the part of the call I really enjoyed today was when Sophie was talking and kind of hearing her kind of chaotic process. It made me feel human and seen because I kind of feel the same way, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm not crazy. Everybody kind of goes through the same stuff, so yeah, that's what I felt.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. Awesome.
Thanks.
Okie doke. Cool. Well, end of last week's call, we shared we did a bit of a deep dive into question five. So like what are the areas of your life that will benefit the most from systems? What are you wanting to create in those areas? What do you want 6 months from now, etc. And we opened that up. The majority of people on the book club have had the chance to share with the group. Um, sorry, share with the group what they're working on. Um, yeah, that's right. Philip, you finished off last time. I think Sophie, Sam, I don't think you got the chance. I think you missed last week's call. And I would like to share as well. So before we do a check-in with everyone on where they're at with their systems projects, I'd love to hear from Sam, Sophie, and myself on those areas if you would like to share. Were you here for the call, Sam, where we went into question five?
Um, I was here for the one where we started, and then I didn't get a chance to catch up with last week's. Um, so I think the majority, like I did a couple, and then the majority did last week maybe, and then yeah. So I wasn't here for the last one.
Okay, okay. Did you have a chance to go into that question? If I think I can't remember if you were in the session where we did that.
Yeah, well, I did write notes for when we did the that session.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's all surrounding uh personal improvement
Okay, okay. I would,
and business at the moment.
yeah, I'd be very curious to hear. I'd like everyone in the group to have a chance to speak it out into the group. Um, yeah.
Um, it's just I guess it's for me at the moment I'm experimenting with different streams of income. So I've taken a step away from I say full-time employment. I was freelance, but I was always very fortunate to have regular freelance work. So yeah, at the moment, in 6 months' time, I guess, if we're doing that, I'd like to have implemented more um of my income streams that I've sort of got ideas ideas for, but it's the I guess sort of like Sophie was saying earlier, I feel like I've got all of these ideas um and things that I want to do, and nobody really knows about them. So then when nobody knows about them, then it's not gonna like come back to me come back to me. I've got to throw something out for it to come back. So yeah, it's all about um business and having a big change of uh my my work, I guess, and moving into a different area of my current industry and facing the challenges that that poses. But yeah, in 6 months' time, I'd like to be, God, it sounds scary, doesn't it? Going from rather than reaching out to people and asking if they need help with my current job role, reaching out to people and offering them a different service that I feel confident enough to offer,
Mm.
and people know that I am also good at it as well,
Hmm.
being sufficiently vague.
Well, what you've just said there is something really important that I'll underline. Like this sort of part of the process, um, looking ahead to kind of it's goal setting, just like the chapters we've shared together there. This is setting a direction, and this is why I've gone deep into question five. It's I want everyone to have clarity in and a sense of direction. What we're going to spend the next few weeks on is the process. It's like, right, okay, we've set a direction. There's a goal in mind. There's a thing that you want. How? Like, how is that thing going to happen? What's the process going to be? What are the systems that I need? And then getting into the swing of falling back into those systems as we create it. Um,
Oh my God, that was the thing I really liked in I think it was chapter 27 maybe, about falling
yeah.
into falling into things. I can't remember it specifically now, but when you just said falling, then it was about um rather than the sense of achievement being like somewhere that you've got to go, like investing in yourself so that I don't know, it made perfect sense in my head when I read it, and I don't have the book to hand, otherwise I'd find it. But that was the
It's that quote, isn't it? We do, I'm paraphrasing, but we don't rise to the level of our dreams, we fall to the level of our systems.
yes, yeah. It was that, and I was like, oh God, that one hit hard.
It's exactly that. It's like, what are we preoccupied with in our daily life? Am I focused on outcome or am I focused on the process? It's like it's great to have an outcome in mind. It's great to have a direction, but the process is where it's at. That's where it's living and it's breathing and it's happening. Like the outcome is always over there. The process is right here, right now. And I think that's the really big difference in mindset and approach. Like the outcome is always this thing that's out there somewhere, but it's not here. And when we sit down to work on the thing with a sense of it's out there, we're sitting down with a sense of incompleteness, a sense of lack, because the thing we want is over there. Therefore, right here, right now is not what I want, which is one way of experiencing it versus like, okay, there's a direction that I'm moving in, and that thing that I want is right here, right now, because I'm in a process that's creating it 1% at a time, one little bit every day. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that resonated. So what I'm hearing is more income streams in a new business as you pivot to a new area of your industry, um, and increasing direct marketing to people that you already know. And by the sounds of it, increasing visibility of what you are doing.
Yeah. And I think even just what you said there is sort of like, I'm very much like I know where the outcome is. Um, but there's like there's like a fear thing or whatever it is, but or me not implementing systems to like get there. And I've come up like I know what I want it all to look like. And like yeah, the 1% almost like feeling like impossible, not impossible, but like the 1% feeling like it's not going fast enough. It's like Karen said, and I'm like, I wish I could be more Karen and do it at a pace rather than why has it not happened by Friday?
Okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool. So is there potential,
Lack patience.
yeah, is there potentially some some experimenting with that to be done as well?
A lot of speeding things up or slowing things down.
Pace of work. Awesome. Is there any more that you want to share with your direction?
No, I think that's everything. I mean, the last thing I wrote was employing other people. Uh, and sort of, but I feel like that is probably further down the line, but to be in a position where I've, got enough work on in different areas that I need that I'm unable to do it by myself.
Okay. Well, that is a brilliant metric of how a business is doing, isn't it? It's like, right,
Mm.
my time is up. There's enough money coming in. Let's create a team. Like that in itself is a great metric. Um, awesome. I've made a note of these. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Sophie, I think, yeah, you didn't have a chance to share.
Um, I think it's I think I'm struggling to narrow down what the kind of direction is. I'm feeling very lacking in direction because, as I was describing earlier, I just kind of feel like there's so many different ways to go. And I think that in the way that I answered question five, like written down, I'm kind of rereading it back for the first time in a week or so and just going, fucking hell, calm down. Because it literally starts with, I think this answer is wide-ranging and multifaceted. And then I'm talking about how like nebulous, like the idea of trying to pick one direction is, and that actually I don't think that's really serving me right now because everything is so all over the place. Like, for example, I've got a couple of really big job interviews in the next week or so. If I get those jobs, great. I'm now going to be, instead of a weekend shift worker, a nine to fiver. And that changes my whole life, my whole, like a lot of things about my life. But if I don't get those jobs, I'm like, right, now what? Okay, fuck it. I'm just going to pick up a bunch more like shifts and then go traveling. And it's like, okay, but how can I then, like, I know a lot of other people here like this, they're kind of like working on their businesses, they're working on their freelance, this, that, and the other. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And so it's hard for me to kind of pick one direction. And again, with that fear of goals thing. And so I think what I'm trying to do at the moment is, I think the real, like, areas of my life that could improve is less so about the tangible goals and the tangible like areas of my life and more so about the system working on the existing processes and systems of how I just manage my day to day, how I manage my productivity, how I manage my ADHD, how I manage to keep myself sane and stable, and optimizing that. Because I think the rest of it kind of just falls into place
Mm, mm,
when those basics, those building blocks are solid, you know? So I think, like I described earlier, the other thing about me overhauling my to-do lists, that is me starting to do that. Because I think I was thinking like, oh, well, my goal could be to like start doing more piano and working on the band more and this. I kept coming to like end points and being like, this doesn't, I feel like I'm missing the point of what the whole point of this book of the power of systems and really like change. It's for me, it feels like the details don't matter. What matters to me is like the systems of how I exist as a person and how that will then inform whatever the topic is. And that getting stuck on the goals or stuck on the things is not serving me right now.
mm.
So that was a lot of yapping to basically just say productivity is the goal right now, or I don't know, sorting consistency. And my therapist says there's no such thing as consistency. And I think that there is definitely something in that because I think we all get very stuck in like, oh, I'm not consistent. One day I'm tired, and the next day I'm this, and I never feel consistent. And oh, I can't like get anything done properly. And like she's right in saying there's no such thing as true consistency in that because we're not robots. But I think there is still consistency does exist, but it just looks different to everyone. It's me trying to find my flow, my consistency, and what works for me. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I've, mm.
I have to say, all of that sounded like fantastic wisdom. Like it sounds like you're tuned into where you're at and what you need right now, which is like that's what this is all about, right? That question five, it's a snapshot. It's like what are the areas in your life right now? And there's no right or wrong with it. Some people the snapshot right now is career change. Some of it's building a business. Some people are pivoting. Some people want more of this, more of that. There's no right or wrong with it. There's where am I at? What do I need? That again, what Trevor's pointing to in that final chapter, tuning into attuning to the world around us, which we are a part of, the whole ocean, not just the wave. And so what you are sharing there, like I'm not just hearing the words, I'm sensing as well that you are very much dialed in to where you're at and what you need. And that's perfect. That's amazing. I've written down what you've said. I'm not sure what to call them. Personal systems? Is that a term that kind of summarizes that?
It's funny to hear you say that I seem very tuned in because I don't feel that way right now. But actually now that you say it, like it does come across like I really like am listening to myself, but then I'm doubting that I'm listening to myself. Anyway, I'd say personal system productivity systems,
Hmm.
I guess, is probably the best way to describe it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Is there any more that you want to share?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, I would also, I'd love to share what I am working on. Uh, I also noticed, yeah, I have a tendency to observe everything and try and shift everything all at once. And so I think um, creating simplicity in my life is a big thing. I think 2026 is going to be the year of taking ownership of the artistry, um, and changing how I've done things, which has always been have a finger in every single pie, have the broadest spectrum of a portfolio career you can possibly have, so that you make lots of money, and so that if one area fails or one area has any effect around income, you've got other things. I started coaching because I saw it as another like, well, that could be a fantastic, other part to this other bigger whole of like teaching a bit and the functions and the tributes and get your cruise bands lined up and then this thing and this thing. Um, and it's all musically it's an imitation of the thing. And so what I want to change up is that there is a priority in my life, and it's the band. We've settled on the name Circus, which I will share with you all, and effectively restructuring things around my life to support that. So at the moment, I've taken a really big step back from working, which sucks because there's not a tremendous amount of money coming in. There's just about. Um, but what it's creating is time for me to create the systems around this band, the members, finding the singer, recording the demos, making the backing tracks, designing the logo, etc., etc. Going to gigs, networking, having creating a network to plug this into when it's ready. And I kind of see that as phase one is like almost clear the calendar and start again, but with this at the center. Um, and get accustomed to that and loosen the grip of that familiarity to the past or the previous ways of doing things as I build this new thing. Um, and then as it goes, yeah, I think uh, I would like more money coming in. And so it's thinking about what's lower bandwidth. Perhaps it's taking on one day a week in an employed job so that I know that there's a guarantee of a minimum amount each month. Um, it's yeah, what kind of music gigs? I've got that skill. What kind of gigs are out there that are low input, maximum fee? Stuff like wedding gigs. Like, well, I used to hate them, but now I'm like, the context has changed. I think I can survive doing that if I know why I'm doing that, which is high fee for low amount of time given. I think that's the system, that's the game. How much can I earn effectively for as little time? And I'm not saying as little effort, like my work ethic is my work ethic. I will always do the best I can, but how quickly so that I can just keep as much of the week open to the band. Um, yeah, and then there are some other areas in my life. Guitar practice, I'm creating some systems for like, okay, what do I need to be able to play to pull these things off? Fitness is a part of that as well. So what are my systems around that? Um, the final one, such a trivial such a trivial one, but it has been a big thing, and it's dating. And I've tried a few different systems. The apps are just appalling and truly demoralizing. So I'm not kind of not I'm done with that. Um, I think I've tried speed dating as well, found it a bit weird. I think that there's possibly the only option left, which is to approach people in person, which 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 really does scare me a lot. And it yeah, it brings up a lot for me. But there's been a great deal of avoidance on my part, and it's something I want to work on next year. Is that just go and say hello, go and have a chat, do the thing that's scary. Um, what systems around that? I think that is the system. And it's one that's going to require practice, and I think turning it into a bit of a game as well, like gamifying it. So yeah, that's what came up for me when I answered that question. It's like, right, that's the direction. Thank you. I was waiting for Nick to speak there, but of course, this is Nick is not facilitating this, and I'm here instead. Um, but yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for sharing everything where you're at. We start another section of the book soon. There are a couple more sections, but increasingly, there are going to be a few more exercises and check-ins, all geared towards you've all explored a direction that you want to work in, and now let's create the processes. And it sounds like, you're all already doing that. So over the 5 weeks that we've got left, use that time to experiment as much as possible, and to get into the space of experimenting and being playful, ready for next year. All right. Lots of love. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.
You will.